Mayor Trinita Budilesio. Councilor David G. Romero.
Present.
Councilor Barbara Casey.
Present.
Councilor Vincent Howell.
Here.
Councilor David A. Ulibarri Jr.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilor Hall, would you do moment of silence?
Moment of silence for all of our residents that are hurting a lot. And also, I believe that we had a fire in our neighborhoods this last weekend. And hopefully the family will, our community will help the family pull together. So let's keep them in our minds.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The next item is the approval of the agenda.
Madam Mayor,
Pleasure of work, Councilor Casey.
I would like to propose an amendment to the agenda, moving item number 16, executive session, to right before business item 7.
Hold on, give me just a minute. Before business item 7. Okay, gotcha. So that would be part of the last item, correct?
Yes, prior to the final item.
No, that's...
It's on the back of page 2 of it.
We got you.
Oh, here's a different one.
So this is the regular business item she's proposing right here. Are we all on the same page?
Second.
Okay. Roll call. Is everybody fine? Hold on. Okay. So we're moving executive to prior to number 7.
Councilor Ulibarri Jr.
Yes.
Councilor Casey.
Yes.
Councilor Howell.
Yes.
Councilor Romero.
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Casey and a second by Councilor Romero. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Next
Madam
item
Mayor,
on, I'm
I
sorry.
move approval of the agenda as amended.
Do I have a second? Roll call.
Councilor Howell, you second?
Yes.
Councilor Romero.
Yes.
Councilor Howell.
Yes.
Councilor Casey.
Yes.
Councilor Ulibarri Jr.
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Casey and a second by Councilor Howell. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda, Madam Mayor, members of the council, is approval of the minutes for January the 9th and January 16th, 2019.
As amended, correct?
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the minutes for January 9th and January 16th as amended. I did send in corrections.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call. 2 seconds.
Councilor Romero.
Yes.
Councilor Howell.
Yes.
Councilor David Ulibarri Jr.
Yes.
Councilor Casey.
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Casey, a second by Councilor Howell and Councilor Ulibarri Jr. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The next item is mayor's appointments and reports.
I've held my appointments and reports as well as my recognitions and proclamations because we have a lot of presentations. So I will not be having appointments or reports or recognitions or proclamations at this point.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Mayor's recognitions and proclamations, you're also holding those?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
The next item is public input. We have Mr. Oliver Lesperance, Samaritan House relocation. Good evening.
Up yours.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Madam Mayor, City Councilors, thank you very much for having me here today. Recently, as a month ago, I spoke to you about the relocation and the concern that several of our citizens have with the relocation of the Samaritan House to, I believe it's 501 7th Street. And it's right across the street from City Park. And that has spurned the concern of many people. Right now, what I'm asking, what I'd like to ask the council for, we've been in the process of getting signatures for a petition. And we would like to ask the council for some assistance and having a public hearing, a public meeting, where the voices of citizens can be heard, business owners, neighbors and so forth that live around the area. One such meeting was held. However, not everybody was notified. So a lot of people were left in the dark. They didn't know the meeting occurred. They didn't know the meeting was going to occur. Hence, this project seems to be inching forward, not by leaps and bounds, but it seems to be inching forward. And different people have different reports. One is that it's going to be a food pantry. One is that people are going to sleep there. Again, this is right across the street from Lincoln Park, where children are often at play, soccer practice happens. Certainly a day like today reminds us all that we're lucky to have a warm bed. It reminds us that there is a need to help the homeless people in our community. So we're not trying to deny that in any way, shape, or form. We just would like our voice to be heard. We'd like answers, and we'd like to know what's going on. If you can please assist us in helping set up a meeting
What I
for
can
some
do,
public input.
I'm sorry. What I can do is direct the staff to start coordinating the town hall meeting in that specific
Fantastic.
area. Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor, thank you very much.
Okay,
That would be excellent.
yes, we will do.
Thank you for your
very
time
much.
today.
Thank you, Mr. Lesbrunz. The next person is Mr. Marshall Poole regarding animal welfare. Mr. Poole?
Madam Mayor and
Good
city
evening,
councilors. This is a report for January, so last month. We took in 132 animals, so more than 4 animals a day we took in and processed. 112 dogs, 42 of them were puppies, 18 cats, including 6 kittens. We were able to return 22 of the animals to their owners. And we adopted 12 animals in addition to that. We were not able to trap any wildcats last month because of the terrible cold and windy conditions. The cats kind of hunker down and don't come out to be trapped. So we're restoring that program this month. We transported 74 dogs to 5 different agencies in Colorado and elsewhere for adoption at those places. And we had more than 300 hours of volunteer time with college students, the United World college students, high school students, and others volunteering. There was only one bite hold last month. The bite hold is has to be in place for a dog that does not have a certificate of rabies vaccination. And we transported 24 citizen-owned dogs for our low-cost spay-neuter program. That's $25 for the entire surgery and a chip and a rabies vaccine and any other vaccines the animal needs. And we transported 11 strays and owner-surrendered animals for that spay-neuter program as well. We brought in a trainer from Albuquerque to train the United World College students and also Robertson High School volunteers on how to spend time with animals, how to walk them, how to be safe with them, and so on, to make their time more productive when they volunteer with us. United World College has volunteers come over every Friday afternoon to walk dogs and spend time with the cats, etc. 2 other items. One is that the crematory that's owned by the city on the shelter property is not functioning, and we really need to get that thing going again. So we request that purchase order be completed, and whatever we need to do to get that done, let us know. All the dead on arrival animals need to be cremated for safety and health reasons, and also citizens bring animals in that need to be cremated, and we want to be able to provide that service. So the other item is, thanks to you, Madam Mayor, for signing the letter of support to Senate Bill 367, which collects food revenues from pet food manufacturers for the labels of the pet food that they want to sell in New Mexico. This will generate a lot of funds that can be used for spay-neuter in the state. And since we're in a rural area and much in need of spay-neuter, since more than 90% of the animals that come into the shelter are intact, they are not spayed or neutered, we really do have a need here. And if I could just read the last paragraph, Mayor, of your letter. For the aforementioned reasons, we strongly believe Senate Bill 367 offers a reasonable, fiscally prudent, and beneficial solution to the problem of dog and cat overpopulation that has long plagued the city of Las Vegas and our great state of New Mexico. So, Madam Mayor, thank you for voicing support for this program. It failed last year, and we want it to succeed this year if it can at all possible, and we'll release funds for particularly rural shelters like ours to do more spay-neuter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poole.
Thank you, Mr. Poole.
I'm not going to open it up to the public input. I'm not going to open it up to the afternoon. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to thank him.
The next person is Mariano Ulibarri, PRISM from the Mexico Highlands University. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and
Good
City
evening.
Council.
How are you?
It's been a number of years since I've been here, but you guys have helped me a lot. I'm here no longer as Parachute Factory, which is probably what you remember me as, but now as a member of New Mexico Highlands. I'm the Lionel Coordinator of Student Support, and I work with students in STEM fields and help them navigate things like that. So I'm here for two reasons, or would like to bend your ear for two reasons. First is the PRISM Club, which they will be presenting later on this evening. But I'm a member and supporting them and trying to help them get their efforts off the ground, which I think are very worthy and great. And I'm glad they're here tonight to present, so I'll leave the details up to them. I'll keep it pretty short. I don't have a lot to say, but second is we're reviving one of Parachute Factory's most successful events, Fix It Friday. We started this in 2013 with the Vietnam Veterans of America here in town, and the idea is help people fix things that would otherwise just be thrown away and replaced. We'll be doing this the last Friday of every month here in Vegas at Highlands, at Armis in the Education Building. So the first one is this Friday. So if you're around, you need something fixed, or you want to help fix something, come in to Armis. It's on 916 11th Street, and yeah, the engineering building at Islands. Last thing before I leave, the PRISM Club, I really hope you guys will consider what they're talking about. I've worked with thousands of kids in the Vegas area for years and watched them grow up. I think that gender identity and this kind of stuff is very important. I've seen people grow and struggle. PRISM Club offers support, offers education, a lot of different things. So please consider their pitch and go for it. So thank you guys.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Mr. Ulibarri. The next person is Susan Seisty. Sorry,
Good
I
evening.
hope I didn't butcher
Good
it.
evening. Madam Mayor, City Councilors, I just came to thank you for the wonderful relationship that the Arts Council has with Virginia Marujo and Angie Lister. It is pleasant, it is actually fun, it's positive, they're available when we need to talk to them, and yet efficient and businesslike. And we've just had such a positive relationship that the board asked me to come share that with you today. So thank you very much.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
good
That's
day.
very refreshing.
Thank you. The next person is Ms. Tina Gonzalez. Tina Gonzalez? Oh,
Hi there, Ms. Gonzalez.
Good evening, Ms. Gonzalez. How are you?
Good, and you?
Good, thank you.
I'm just here to support Virginia. I know that she's interim right now for director, and I'm just hoping, us and the Fiesta Committee are hoping that she becomes the actual director because we work very well together. She is very professional. Her and Angie are both very good at helping everyone. They're always there when you need them, and they're very good at what they do. So that's the only reason I'm here, is for support for them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Gonzalez. The last person is Mr. Lalo Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez?
Mr.
Good
Sanchez.
evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all you other people. It's really a shame and a disgrace to say that it's really a shame that the Utilities Department continues to accuse me of having water leaks. This is the third time already, and I really don't appreciate it. It's really, I thought we had gotten rid of Ken Garcia, but apparently it seems like his stench continues to linger in the Utilities Department, and I continue to be accused of having leaks in my property, and this is the third time already. The first time I was accused of having 34,000 gallons of water leaked. Mr. Garcia wasn't able to prosper on that because I got a hold of the Attorney General's office, and he ended up getting that corrected. The second time, it was Mrs. Pillsbury, the one that ended up accusing me of 31,000 gallons of water leaking in my property. I had to replace my whole system, utilities, the plumbing department, I had to replace that.
Mr. Sanchez.
Yes,
my name
ma'am.
is Gilberry.
Pillsbury, whatever her name is. Anyway, I ended up having to replace the whole plumbing in my property. I had to pay $1,200 for that. I had to beg and borrow from other agencies and whatnot to help me out to pay for that. And then I was charged from the Utilities Department another $1,100 from that department. They brought it down to $241. I don't know how they ended up doing that. If I was being charged $1,100, they brought it down to $200 and some $241. Now, they told me if I was 11 days without water. Now they accuse me of having 3,500 gallons of water leaking all over again. This is the third time. I've been trying to get a hold of the Attorney General's office all over again, and I haven't been able to, but it's in the process. And they told me again, the city manager's office, they told me again that if I don't pay this bill, they're going to shut me off. I have no alternative. I have to pay the bill. I can't be without water. So like I say, I don't know why it is that they continue to do this, and I'm not the only one that they're doing this to. There's other city utilities customers that they're doing this to. 2 or 3 months ago, there was another lady that came in here that complained about the same thing. So I don't know why this is happening. This, to me, this is some type of a retaliation of some sort. Is it because I sued the city and I won a few years back? Is it retaliation? I don't know what's going on. But I'm getting down to the bottom of this, and whatever happens is going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen. But this has to end. This has to end because this is ridiculous. It's a shame and a disgrace. And I see that everybody stands up over here and pledges allegiance to the flag for liberty and justice. Where's the liberty? We can't do anything without having to pay the city for whatever it is that we do, put up a fence, paint a house, or whatever it is. Where's the justice? There's no justice whatsoever there. The city government is screwing me left and right, one way or another, and I have no rights. I have no rights. I either have to do it, I pay whatever it is I have to pay, or I'm doomed. They shut my water off, and what am I going to do? I can't live without water. Nothing lives without water. It's the same thing as trying to live without oxygen. You can't live without oxygen either, so what's the sense? I have no idea what you all are going to do. I'm going to do something about it, and I'm going to put an end to it one way or another somehow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. That concludes public input. Madam Mayor, members of the council. The next item on the agenda is presentations. Our first presentation is by Police Chief David Bibb on the promotion to police lieutenant positions. Chief Bibb.
Madam Mayor and honorable councilors, when I was appointed and confirmed by this body, I pledged to you that I would treat the police department as the sons and daughters of Las Vegas, because they are. And during the last 3 months in my office, I can say that without hesitation or equivocation, that the police department has had support from the mayor, the city manager, the city attorney, and each and every single city councilor. So it is with a profound sense of pride that I call forward Lieutenant Jason Gage. I would also be calling forward Lieutenant Alan Pacheco, but he is on injury leave, so he's not able to attend. But Lieutenant Gage did stand out as a superb mid-level manager. He was a sergeant in investigations, and when he picked up lieutenant, he is now back on the streets as a senior supervisor.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Lieutenant Gage.
Lieutenant Gage? Lieutenant Gage, could you stand up here? How many do you have?
A handful.
Okay, stand up here, please.
The
Or if you'd
next
like-
presentation is by Police Chief David Bibb on the promotion to police sergeant positions. Madam Mayor, members of the council.
With your indulgence, if I may call forward Sergeant Dylan Insenius, Sergeant David Lotalo, and Sergeant Elias Rael. Through the promotion process, these three sergeants have stepped forward from the ranks of patrolmen and are taking on the awesome responsibility of supervising the officers of the Las Vegas Police Department.
Thank you very much.
The next presentation is by Chief Bibb on life-saving medal for police personnel.
With your indulgence, I'd like to switch order
Sure.
Oh, okay.
and call forward the field training officers, if I may.
Okay.
Sergeant David Trujillo. Field Training Officer David Barella. Field Training Officer Police Sergeant Dylan Insenius. Police Lieutenant Field Training Officer Jason Gage. Street Crimes Agent Field Training Officer Andrea Gutierrez. Sergeant Field Training Officer David Latalo. Police Lieutenant Field Training Officer Michael Lopez. Police Sergeant Field Training Officer Conrad Mates. Street Crimes Agent Field Training Officer Caleb Marcus. Field Training Officer Joseph Mascareñas. Field Training Officer Michael Ortega. Street Crimes Sergeant Field Training Officer Elias Rael. Police Lieutenant Field Training Officer Monica DeHill. And Field Training Officer Daniel Casados. Madam Mayor, members of the council, if the police department were a business, these ladies and these gentlemen would be quality control and production control. They truly are the tip of the spear when it comes to preparing our newly hired officers for everything that comes with being a police officer. With that in mind, those who are not already wearing the insignia of sergeant or lieutenant, the police department is adopting an insignia for field training officer.
Is that a bad thing?
Thank you, Deputy, and thank you each and every one of you for the service that you provide for the citizens and the city of Las Vegas. We are so fortunate to have each and every one of you on board, and fortunate that you are protecting the people in the community. Thank you so much. God bless you.
And finally, if I may call forward Lieutenant Jason Gage and Deputy Sheriff Darren Romero. And since I'm the emotional type, I'm just going to read the memo that I sent to both of these officers. On April 24th, 2018, you were recognized and recommended for a life-saving medal by retired Commander Juan Gonzalez. Life-saving awards are issued to anyone who performed extraordinary actions to save the life of a person that would have likely died if not for that action. With Commander Gonzalez's nomination and with some of his highlights listed below, it was clear that you are deserving of this recognition. Commander Gonzalez, through his investigation to an incident that occurred on April 14, 2017, concurred that you are worthy of receiving a life-saving medal. He notes that you responded to an unresponsive ill subject at 615 6th Street in the city of Las Vegas. Upon arrival, you performed CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, on a female. It was noted that she did not have a pulse, and based on the life-saving actions you performed was indeed saving of a life. The facts based on the life-saving action of yours were all confirmed by all medical and fire personnel on this date. They stated that if you did not perform the actions you did, she would have indeed passed away. Your leadership and dedication sets an example to all employees. We are fortunate to have such a dependable, innovative, and dedicated professionals, and you are deserving of this award. You bring great credit upon yourself, your family, and fellow officers. In this way, the performance of your duties keeps the highest value of the Las Vegas Police Department.
Thank you very much, Chief. Thank you very much. I want to thank you, Chief, again, Deputy Chief, and Commander. I apologize for not recognizing you early. My apologies, sincerely. Thank you again for what you've done. What an incredible feast you've conducted out there publicly, saving a life. That is remarkable. There's nothing more important than saving a life. I think that, Chief, you summed it up pretty much in your memorandum. And we're so honored, so privileged to have you representing the city of Las Vegas, each and every one of you. And now I'm going to ask you to please come forward and congratulate, shake the hands of the council so we can congratulate you. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Be careful. Thank you so much.
You're too tall. Thank you again, Chief.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The next presentation is by Mr. Leo Maestas with Office of Emergency Management regarding mass casualty incident plan. Mr. Maestas.
Good evening, Mr. Maestas.
Good evening, good evening.
And that is the item for that business item is on business item number 1.
Regular business item.
Good evening. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council and City Manager. I come to you today to present our very first San Miguel County, City of Las Vegas mass casualty incident plan. What brought this plan to light was an incident that we had January of 2018. We had a large car accident on I-25 in the Middleville area. We had numerous injuries. 20 to 30 vehicles were involved in the accident, which inundated our first responders and our hospital with patients. So we had numerous meetings to put together a framework of incident, mass casualty incident plan. So we all operate on the same operating picture when we are faced with these types of incidents. So, mass casualty is defined by an incident that injures enough people to overwhelm the resources usually available in a particular system or an area. It also places a large demand on resources, including equipment, personnel, and facilities, which we experienced that evening. MCI events can be tied to natural disasters, which could be extreme heat, fires, floods, earthquakes, tornadoes, and epidemics. They're also tied to technical hazards, which would be a building collapse, hazardous material incidents, explosions, and in our case, transportation accident. Also, they could be tied to civil and political events, which would be a mass shooting, a hostage situation, or a terrorism attack of sorts. The purpose of this plan, a county-wide adopted plan for the mass casualty incident, is to achieve an overall understanding of personnel, assisting neighboring departments. In addition, with the coordinated county plan, the use of common terminology to the MCI will integrate the immediate involvement of mutual aid and task forces when requested by incident commanders. So we identified 4 parts that we would like to have in the plan throughout these meetings, which would be the incident command system, communications, the triaging, tagging, and prioritizing our patients in an instant, and also the START, which is simple triage and rapid transportation. Some might be familiar with the incident command system, but typically incident ICS is used to help control, direct, and coordinate resources, ensures clear lines of responsibility and authority. Incident commanders has overall responsibility for the scene and provides an orderly means of communication and gathering and decision-making. So through the meetings, we identified radio channels for first responders to use, which would be tactical VTAC channels, which were implemented by the U.S. government for instances where we have multi-agencies on a scene. Critical scene information to disseminate to dispatch centers, and on-scene radio communication should be kept at absolute minimum. The triage tagging is basically the severity of injuries. Green meaning minor, yellow severe, red tag critical, and black would be a deceased individual. Simple triage is a method used by pre-hospital providers in patient care, rapidly identifying injuries with these patients and on-scene decision-making for patient placement to either local or regional hospitals. So those are the 4 basic parts to the plan. The plan goes in depth a lot more, but for presentation purposes, we kind of narrowed it down. So it also has appendices in there, which include obviously contact numbers for agencies and then checklists for each individual that would be part of that incident command system. And here's the list of our agency stakeholders which took part in our meetings. We had, I believe, 3 meetings that we held. So, and you can see that they're not just local agencies. We had state agencies also involved in our process. I believe that's it.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? Okay. Good job. Thank you very much. We appreciate your presentation here.
The adoption of the resolution will come later under the business item. Madam Mayor, members of the council.
Thank you very much.
The next item is presentation by President Sam Minner, New Mexico Highlands University, regarding Gene Kilder's golf course, traffic flow on University and National, and the Town Gown Commission.
Welcome, President Minner. How are you
Welcome,
today?
Madam Mayor. Thank you so much for the time, members of the council. I know you have a long agenda, so I will be brief.
Absolutely.
But I'm really here this evening to ask you to consider 3 kinds of requests. One has to do with the golf course. Everybody knows where the golf course is here in town. The Torrance course is right across the street. Last spring, I asked my chief financial officer to do a deep analysis of that operation. I found that we are running a deficit there, and we have been running a deficit there for many, many years. We couldn't go back far enough to not find a deficit. That golf course is incredibly important to the community, and it is my goal to retain the golf course, to improve it if possible. We need some improvements, but also to be fiscally responsible. My money comes from the state, and we're not going to run a deficit over there. So what to do? The board approved a kind of 3-pronged plan and gave me some time to work on it to see how things were going to turn out. The first plan had to do with usage, trying to increase usage. To give you an example of something we've done there, the university, bought 100 rounds of golf. We bought a lot of clubs, equipment, encouraging our students to take lessons out there to play the course. There are other things too, but usage was one leg of the stool. The second one had to do with partnerships. So that's why I'm here before you this evening, to talk about the possibility, I know no decision is going to be made this evening, but of partnerships with other entities, agencies in the region, city and region, to help improve that course, keep it going, and yet still remain fiscally responsible. I'll also go before the county here shortly, some businesses in town. We've talked to our elected officials. They're aware of this challenge that we face. So partnerships is one leg of the stool. The third one has to do with the possibility of some land development there that could potentially solve a couple problems. One, if we could generate some revenue from rentals or whatever, then that would really help us with the golf course. Thirdly, if we could build some new residential facilities or mixed-use facilities, I think that would be a plus in the town as well. So what I'm really asking for, Madam Mayor, for you to consider, as well as the council, any interest in working with us on this. I could see maybe a little subcommittee, I could meet with them, or really whatever structure you think might be best. But my request is the city interested in potentially, no commitment asked, but working with us on the golf course to retain it and to make it better? And as I said, I'm seeking other partnerships as well. The second request that I have of you, it has to do really with wayfinding. I'm also on the board of Main Street Las Vegas, but I'm not here as a board member. I'm here as president of Highlands. I think everyone realizes or remembers it wasn't that long ago the Metropolitan Redevelopment Area Plan. And I was interviewed several times. A lot of people around the town, there's a long list of people who were interviewed on this. And the number one recommendation in that plan had to do with wayfinding. And the number one recommendation, but it's just that, it's a recommendation, was to change some streets around to see if we could get people off of I-25 down to the plaza area more efficiently. Reading from this plan, a few months old now, develop University Avenue as a two-way street between 8th and National. Develop MOU with Highlands, ceding ownership of University Avenue between 8th, so on and so forth. Basically what this amounts to, the recommendation was to direct people off of I-25, change University Avenue to a two-way street. Now it's two-way for part of it, and it's one-way for part of it. And to direct them down there to the plaza area. There would be new signage, and then the recommendation of the redevelopment area plan was to potentially close National altogether, and that could conceivably be a pedestrian mall for campus. But so I'm here to kind of query, again, I'm certainly not expecting an answer this evening, but do you want to work on that together? I am very interested in that. Now, there were other plans offered that were not in this redevelopment plan. There was a plan offered previously, I think it predated my arrival here, that would include some new signage and kind of direct people down Douglas to get to the plaza area. National would remain open as it is now. So if that's the plan that the city ultimately wants to support, it really doesn't have anything to do with pilots. I mean, you know, we're out of the mix on that. But the number one recommendation was, as I said, to make University two-way and to potentially close National. So people would go down University to get to the plaza. National would become a pedestrian mall, not a... I'm interested in that, but I'm not going to push that. I think that I'm interested in working with the city if that's what the city would like to do. But if that's not something that you really want to pursue, then I just won't, you know. But so the second query is, would you like to work on that? And if so, I could get some of my folks together, I don't know, the subcommittee. Eventually, if we did that one particularly, I'm sure our attorneys would have to get involved in all of that. So I'd ask that you please let me know if you want to pursue that at some point. Third is maybe an easier one. Other universities where I've worked, every other one actually, there's been some group that's been established between the university and the municipality of the town. They're usually called something like town gown commissions. So I am very interested in establishing that. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 individuals from the university, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people from the city, maybe a council member, maybe a member of the PD. I don't know, that would be up to you. And I don't anticipate this being a weekly meeting or anything, but maybe once a semester, maybe even once a year. The goals would be quite simple. Can we meet and discuss things to try to improve the interaction between the university and the city as much as we can? And then also, when things come up, it would be at least an initial forum for what are we going to do to try to make this better, what are we going to do to try to resolve it. But I don't want it to just be the latter. I also want it to be, how can we work together more effectively? I've often said in your presence, as Las Vegas goes, Highlands goes. And conversely, as Highlands goes, Las Vegas goes. So anything we could do to work together, I think, would really be a plus. So in sum, is there interest in maybe working to see if there's a way we can partner on the Torrance course? We are seeking other partners too. I want to keep that open and I want to improve it. Those are the goals that I have. Number 2, what about the number 1 recommendation from the redevelopment plan? If the city is really interested in doing that, I am too. I can see some advantages to that. If you aren't interested, that's fine with me. Or if you want to go the other way and kind of have some new signage directing people down Douglas, then that's, I don't have a dog in that fight. That's really nothing that Highlands has anything to do with. And then thirdly, I'm requesting some consideration of the establishment of, we don't have to call it a town gown commission, but something like that, which would have 2 goals, improving the interaction between the city and the institution for mutual benefit, and then at least initially dealing with any issues that come up so we don't maybe have to deal with them again. So those are my requests this evening to you.
Thank you, President Minner. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
With regards to the presentation this evening and your proposal, have you received public input, and have you received during that public input any opposition?
To which proposal?
To your proposal or presentation this evening?
Any opposition? No, I haven't. We had a large community meeting in regard to the golf course. That was several months ago. We had good participation. It was a good positive vibe. People, let's work together to try to do this. In terms of the redevelopment plan, Highlands really wasn't directly involved in that. I mean, we were interviewed along with, I think, 30 or 40 other people, but I don't know if the city sponsored any community forums about it. I really don't know.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
And in addition to that, one of the concerns that you've raised is something that might not be on the actual plan at this point in time. You would have to revisit the current plan that was submitted. It is a few months old, but I believe there's some other issues that might have been raised this evening that are no longer in the plan. So we have to look at that.
Okay, I understand.
And make certain that everything is updated.
Well, if I may reiterate, Madam Mayor, I mean, this, what I'm reading as the number 1 recommendation in this plan, a few months old now, it is.
Gotcha.
That's not something I'm pushing. I stand ready to partner with the city if the city is interested in pursuing it. But this is not something that I'm going to take any unilateral action toward whatsoever. But if it is the city's will to look into this or to do it, then I'll certainly do everything in my power to help make it happen.
Thank you, President Manuel. I'm going to
you're
open it up to the council. Any questions, comments? Councilor, please.
I just have comments. Of the 3, I have to admit that number 2 is my favorite, the wayfinding. And I wish that this would have happened like when I was a student at Highlands, because I really hated National Avenue because I fell there every single day almost.
Yeah.
Just dodging traffic, and I remember once that it was really slippery and I was crossing the street and this car stopped about this far away from me as I was looking at the ice and thinking, oh God, I'm going to die. But I think it's a wonderful idea. I really like the idea of making that into a pedestrian mall for campus, especially being that a lot of the classes and the dorms and everything are now on the other side
Right,
of
yeah.
National. I think that would be a really wise thing to do, and I think that that would probably be one of the easiest for us to do if we should decide to.
Well, it sounds easy on the front end. I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, but I mean, I think in terms of money and collaboration and all of that, I think it would be pretty good.
Well, that National Avenue is dangerous. We've had 2 accidents since I've been there, nothing really super serious. But, you know, I mean, so much traffic through there, it bifurcates the campus. We have spent several $1,000s recently in improving some crosswalks and stuff. But even with that, 18-wheelers go through there, and so there is a safety consideration there. But I believe that, again, I didn't commission this redevelopment plan, but I believe that the thinking to make that the #1 recommendation had to do with really economic development. I can give you, I don't want to extend my time, but I came back from Santa Fe today, the legislature's in session, I'm down there every day, and it was just a classic. I mean, I pulled off of 25, I'm there, it was an out-of-state car, right blinker goes on, off, left blinker goes on, they didn't know where to go. Where's the plaza? Where's the art scene? Where's the university? I don't know. They eventually turned left, and as you know, you don't go very far left and you're back on I-25 again, you know, and you miss the whole town. So, but I think that was the driver, but I don't know. I didn't commission the study or anything, so.
I have one other comment.
Continue.
On the golf course, this has been a topic of discussion for years. And I served on the San Miguel County task force that put together their 5-year plan. And there was a lot of discussion about the golf course because it is an attraction to Las Vegas.
It is.
And we also talked about the possibility of having, you know, land development there, residential,
Yes.
you know, apartments that are modern that people can come to, that people want to live in. Not everybody that comes to Las Vegas wants to live in a Victorian house that they have to remodel.
Yes.
And so that has always been kind of in the back of everybody's mind, I think. And I think that that would be something that we should consider and see how we might be able to generate more housing for professionals that want to come to Las Vegas. I know a lot of Highlands professors live in, you know, in El Dorado or Santa Fe,
Yes,
other places, and it would be nice if they could live here
Yes.
and find, you know, accommodations that were modern.
Well, and if that could serve both purposes, if it could generate some income for the golf course, but also serve that, you're absolutely right, Casey. I mean, we're not, Highlands isn't really growing big guns, but we do hire new people every year. I think we hired 7 new faculty this year. About half of them don't live here, and for all kinds of reasons, you know. But it would really be nice to have them here, paying taxes here, shopping here, contributing to the local welfare here, serving on the school board here, all those things, you know. So housing is one of the reasons to potentially do that, and we have looked into that. So we have a few houses out there now, as you know. But really, you know, the initial driver on that initiative was to generate resources for the golf course, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilor Casey. Councilor, who's next?
Okay.
I don't have an answer for that.
Oops, I'm sorry.
You don't have an answer for that?
I don't have an answer for that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Phone's taking over.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
3 things. First, I would really personally, if the governing body decides to make a decision on your proposal, I would personally support it. I think that it's very important that the golf course gets more focus within the community. I think in raising revenues, I would personally like to talk to a lot of the businessmen and women in town, whether you could provide a packet of memberships for the golf course and be sold at the businesses.
Yes.
When they come into purchase something, they could be offered package for the golf course.
Yeah, we are looking into that. There's been some interest, which is encouraging. I would also say, Mr. Hull, that, I have no interest in making money on if I could make money on the golf course, it'd be great.
Right.
But that's not the driver. I want to get even on the budget. So if there is some creative things like that, or some partnerships where people could play at a greatly reduced price, even free, if my budget is met, I'm good. I'm not interested in making a single dime on it.
I think it would increase the focus within the community about the golf course. I think that would be good. Secondly, just for clarification purposes, you're talking University from Grand Avenue into up University into your campus area?
Yes.
Making that two ways. Right now, it's one ways within your campus.
It's two-way for part of the road.
Right.
And then one way for part of the road.
Right. And you would want it all two ways.
Well, that was the recommendation from this study.
Right.
And I'm willing to do that. Right now, there's parking on that road. We'd have to eliminate that. We've got plenty of parking at Highlands. That's not an issue.
Right. That's what I was going to mention.
But that would be a fairly minimal change. I'm not sure once you get down there and you make that right, if that would be sufficient to make the left to go down to the plaza area, but I'm not a civic engineer. We'd have to look at that, I guess. So
I think a lot of community members are proud of Highlands here. So I think they would support the actions, what we are hopefully about to do.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. We've been here, my wife and I, 3 years. We've been very warmly welcomed. There's a lot of local pride. There are also a lot of challenges that people bring up about Highlands, but my perspective is that's because they care about it.
Right.
So I accept that. So.
Thank you, Councilor Howell.
Thank you. Yes.
Councilor Miller.
President Minner, I just wanted to, I agree, with some of your proposals. One that really interests me. And I know, Madam Mayor, you're the individual that has the discretion to create those committees. I think that would be an important step, in addressing a few of these right off the bat. If you could do that, and I don't know if you have a council member. I'm sure.
Well, it could be myself as well. It could be any of the governing body.
Yeah, and still, of course, city staff, but I think there's a lot of ideas that, and I think we need to build that communication within Highlands and the city. And yes, and I know I've spoken to you anytime, I'm sure all of us have, but I think we need to not just talk about it and start developing goals and plans and building that relationship that we need to. And
thank you for that.
I think that's important. I know there's a lot of ideas, just right off the bat, when Councilor Howell got up, speaking with the businesses, I'm thinking, okay, well, what about the hotels? And maybe they could create room rates that include, a round of golf, and there's all kinds of ideas, but we could talk about them, but if we don't sit down and start planning and putting those, on paper, nothing's ever going to happen, and then we're going to continue to talk about it, and I think it's time that
I agree.
could do that.
Well, I appreciate the recommendation. I will look into that. But also, I must be very honest. I would review every piece of paperwork that comes to my office with regards to the plan to ensure that it is, one, consistent with the plan. Also, I want to ensure that the life expectancy of the plan is still there, that there's nothing in there that is going to deviate from the current plan, which is now 3 months old.
Yes.
I believe the life expectancy of most of those plans is a 3-year plan. So I have to look into that. I have to also acquire public input. I'm not going to make any rash decisions.
Understood.
At this point in time. The public needs to be fully apprised of what is occurring. I will not disrespect their public input. I will hold town hall meetings if that is the case, and we will move forward with ensuring that the public has public input. In addition to that, I think as far as creating a committee, it would have to be a culmination of the committee of the entire city that I believe could fairly represent each single ward without political affiliation or influence, and that are going to be fair to everyone involved. I think we have to look into the details of everything. Also, in addition to that, I would recommend that the city manager, the city attorney, myself, of course, and the community development director all be involved in those meetings, that public input, sitting with the town halls, and making certain that we are fully apprised before we move into anything. But
If I may ask,
appreciate
Madam Mayor,
everything
has this been updated?
Yes, that's.
Oh, it has
I
been
believe one of
updated.
the most, I believe that's one of the most current, correct, Anne Marie?
It was
That is-
approved last
that's the most
year,
current.
about 3 months ago, I think.
The other one had the shelf life of 3 years, it expired. It took us a while to
Yes,
get the
uh-huh.
wayfinding and this current plan approved. I don't completely agree with it.
I
I've
understand.
reviewed it very carefully,
Right.
but I do believe that there's hope, and I do believe that there's something that we can do with the plan to move the city forward. We all want the same thing, President
Yes.
Minner. And I respect you for what you do. You're doing a good job for Highlands. I believe your enrollment is up, or am I wrong?
Our retention is up, our newly admitted students for next year is up. So a lot of good things happening. Rogers is coming along, we're on budget, on time there. A lot of good things happening. So our basketball team's good this year. So, I'm a happy president,
We respect all the work that you put into this, and we will continue to work on this. I will definitely review this. I will
Thank
work
you, ma'am.
with every single individual, and we will move forward with reviewing that plan and setting up a committee.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Councilor
Appreciate it.
Yuri,
I have no comments.
thank you very much.
Thank
and
you. Thank you for your
being here
time.
this evening. We appreciate it. Yes.
I don't know if there's an echo, I hear an echo.
I
don't know
hear
if
the
everybody
echo
gets-
too. Daniela, could you please correct that?
Is it because
She'll
of-
check those. Thank you.
I feel I'm in a tunnel. Too close? I don't know.
Hello?
Wait a minute.
Is that better?
Is it maybe because?
Could be it.
Yeah.
It seems.
Okay, Eli's my nickname, Elizabeth Mohan. I work over at Highlands. I'm the interim co-director at Arnis right now. I also am an advisor for the Prism Club, and these are two students who are actively involved, and we have some exciting stuff to talk about. Although these, what now?
Your presentation should really be directed.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm so used to teaching. Like, I feel, hi everybody. To make it these two, that's so funny. That's the teacher in me. Anyway, so you won't hear much of me anymore. This is Adolfo and Maisie, and they're both students at Highlands, and they'll tell you more about this. I'm just going to sit down. Okay? Yeah. All right.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. We're very excited to be here.
So we're here with the Prism Club, and we are a chartered organization in Highlands, and we're also have it open to the community. So we have had a couple of high school students that are taking classes in Highlands to join in, and what exactly is Prism?
So, PRISM stands for Promoting Respect for Identity and Sexuality Movement. And what we aim to do is create an LGBTQ and more-centered space, and to empower and support these individuals as they progress in their time on campus and into the community as well. We have meetings every week at 1 p.m. in Arnis, and at these meetings we've had presentations happen where we pick a topic like pride and we'll give information and educate our members about the event. So a big part of what we do is talk about what gender is and what sexuality is. And so gender is a socially constructed system, and it's where your sense of self is either masculine or feminine, and it's regardless of your genitalia. So gender can differ across cultures, and that could be like a small culture, a big culture, and all cultures in between. And it can change over a person's lifetime. So there's been a lot of talk now about how gender is a fluid construct, and we want to further educate people on how that happens. Sexuality is the capacity to develop intimate, emotional, and sexual relationships with people, and this could either be with the same sex, opposite sex, or both, either. It's not dependent on physical appearance, and there's a spectrum, so there's no like hard-defined like term for someone to exist throughout their lifetime. Instead, it can vary, and there isn't like a solid way that someone should go about pursuing their relationships. So yeah.
So within last semester, our plans were to do presentations and to explain sexuality and identity. This semester, we're leading our efforts towards Pride and having the first Las Vegas Pride. Right now, we're in the planning phase of submitting paperwork to the city and meeting with everybody we can do so this event can be a safe event for everybody. And our projection date for Pride is April 27th, and it's going to start in 6th Street in Carnegie, going to go down National, and it's going to end at the Plaza. And this, hopefully we can get some support from the community and businesses as well, so we can have this and show presence to the community, just giving support and hopefully giving support back to those businesses that are supporting the LGBTQ movement. And hopefully this could also bring economy out. We're inviting people from Albuquerque. We're starting to create ties with the, what's it called? The
Christian Alliance?
Yes, the gay, straight student alliance in University of New Mexico. And we're also getting some more word out there with PJ Cedillos. He's helping us get the word out in Albuquerque and hopefully start making more ties with Santa Fe as well, so we can get those people that are part of the LGBTQ community to come and support our first Pride. And so far, I've been passing out flyers. Hopefully, you've seen the first Pride flyers in businesses. I've heard very positive reviews of the public and business owners, and hopefully, we can get the support from the city as well.
We were involved in the homecoming parade, and during this march, we had so much support from everyone in the audience. They loved the rainbows, they loved waving and like supporting us. So we hope to amplify that and replicate that for the Pride event.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Just a quick question. So the Pride event, will that be just a parade, or are you going to have other things going on once you reach Plaza
Yes.
Park? Or, yeah.
So it'll start, of course, at 6th Street, going to go down National and end at the Plaza, and hopefully we're also trying to get permits so we can have performers in the gazebo. And we don't want it to end late. We're kind of getting the idea of Pride similar to Santa Fe. It's a smaller Pride, and there's going to be performances, and hopefully the community and other businesses want to create their own Pride events within their businesses so they can get those customers in and show support.
The proposed timeline right now is we have the parade starting around noon, and then it shouldn't take more than an hour, and then our plaza festivities would happen from 1 to about 3 or 4. So it's not too much of a big event because it is our first time organizing it. So yeah, we just want to see if it is a success.
Well, it sounds wonderful. I wish you all the best. And if the city can do anything to support you, we will.
Thank you.
Just a comment.
Sorry.
I think this is a great educational opportunity for our community, and I want to thank you for what you do. So, it's great.
Thank you.
That's the most important point, is that you can.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Councilor Oliveira.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here this evening.
The next item on the agenda is presentation by Mr. Ed Toms with ACOM on the Peterson Dam project.
I'm going to run through some logistics here. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Very good.
Good.
It's nice seeing familiar faces and some new faces, so I'm looking forward to the night.
Absolutely.
Exciting. There you go. Thank you very much. Where's it on the screen? There we go. Somewhere. Yeah, it's on this one. It's on this one. Okay. So not to hold everything up. Okay. Hopefully you have the presentation in your packet. Madam Mayor, City Council, I appreciate your time today. We're just going to give you a high overview of the Peterson project. The Peterson project has been in development, I guess, for the last 4 or 5 years. So we just wanted to go through some of the elements. If you have the presentation in front of you, just the overview. I just want to give you a high-level overview. Some of the issues out there, we did a conditional assessment, and then some of the recommendations, and then the path forward. And on the fourth slide, you can see the tower. The project overview, it's an interesting project. It was done and constructed in 1921. It's on the historical record of New Mexico. So what that does, it complicates some of the environmental permitting, but also the construction aspects. That's really what I wanted to highlight in that one page. The height's about 50 feet. Now we're considering different alternatives, a 50-foot, the existing dam, and then a 10-foot raise too. You have water right out there for about 1,400 acre-foot. You can go up about 20 or 30 feet. But we identified during some early studies you can't do that because of the karst foundation. So it's the foundation through the south side of the dam, north side of the rim there. But we can go up about 10 foot. Again, the existing site map and issues. It's the next slide. It shows a layout of the dam, and on that north side is just showing where some critical issues are, and that's how we establish a 10-foot raise on that. Project status, we've done 4 different reports. We've done a draft flood hydrology report. It's draft because we've done it a couple times based on several years ago on some requests from the city. We looked at different raises and so forth. So that's draft, but it's ready to be submitted once we have approval to submit that. We did some alternatives. Oh, great. We did a city alternatives presentation. That was back in 14. And that was a detailed discussion of what we looked at, some different options. And that's what I'm just going to give you a very high level. Alternatives letter, that was back in 15. We also prepared a geotechnical report. It's in draft, but it's ready to be finalized once we proceed with the project. So not to spend too much time, there's a picture on the screen. That's the downstream face of the dam. Many folks have been out there. It's a beautiful dam. For people who like concrete dams, it's a masonry type structure. There's a lot of seepage. You see that failing face, that's freeze-thaw type action. It's just based on the condition of the concrete back in 21 when they built it, the type of materials they use, so it's just deteriorating. Is it safe? It's safe for stability, unless it's being overtopped. There's a potential of scouring the foundation out. So the upstream concrete face and the downstream concrete face is deteriorating. The foundation abutment grout curtain is for the seepage. We looked at two different options. You're losing a lot of water out of that dam, out of the foundation. It's due in part just by the construction of the dam, but also by the karst foundation. So there's different alternatives. You can basically dig a deep wall and fill it full of grout, it's called generally, or use a partial blanket, clay blanket upstream, and cut that flow off. The intake tower, it is in very poor shape. The gates don't work. There's plugs, you can see in the picture. It's hard to, there's cracks in the piping, in the concrete walls, and the downstream pipe. So the intake tower would be replaced in kind, and the outlet works would be slip-lined. So slip-lined meaning you take a steel pipe and then you grout around the outside of that pipe. Overtopping protection. So the flood for the regulatory flood for the probable maximum flood, it goes over the top of about 9.5 feet. So a concrete dam can take that, a healthy concrete dam can take that, but it would overtop and it would scour the foundation of the downstream, and there's a potential that would undercut that just because of how it was constructed. So we'd have to make some adjustments to protect that, to reduce the dam crest length and so forth. The canal, there's a diversion canal around the side, which is kind of an interesting thing. It collects the water off the hillside, so it doesn't contaminate the water in your drinking supply, but it brings it around the dam and it discharges on the left abutment looking downstream, and there's potential for erosion. So just some of the alternatives we looked at. So the concrete overlay, you can see the numbers there. Upstream, downstream, do a concrete overlay. These numbers in 2015 dollars. Foundation, grout curtain, seepage. There's an intake tower. You can see that it's around $7 million for the repairs. So we looked at that, and that price is high. Basically, the improvements would encapsulate the structure with new concrete, a new intake tower, and outlet works. So we looked at that and we said there's got to be other options, cheaper options. So we looked at two different types of dams, brand new dams. Looked at a roller compacted concrete dam, and what that is you might have seen it, it's kind of like asphalt, but it's concrete. It's very dry, and you roll it out and you bring it up and lifts. It goes in very quick. Or you could do a concrete arch dam like it's out there now. So the RCC dam, it's around $7.8 million. So it's about the same cost, but you get a new dam. The idea for both of these structures is to construct a new dam downstream, and what you can do is keep the reservoir active, if you want, while the construction is going on, and then demolish the dam when you're done. So advantages, you can read the advantages, but it's about the same cost of the rehab. Then the other one is a similar type structure. It's $5.8 million for an arch structure. So it's about $2 million less than the roller compacted concrete, and about $1.4 million less than the rehab. So what we need to consider, and that was a very high level back of the envelope type of analysis and looking at it. And so during the next phase, the first phase is the preliminary design. And part of that, we'd actually look at those two structures and actually price those and do a value engineering on those to see which one really is appropriate. the city asked AECom to look at phasing the project. So preliminary design is 30% design. Why do you need that before the environmental permitting? It's because you need that alternatives evaluation for a environmental permit. And then the next phase is the environmental permit. After you obtain that permit, you would do the final design, and then you would go into construction. We've got it, this is just a preliminary schedule. It's all based on funding. So whenever the funding, all you have to do is shift it. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? Councilor Hart.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Tom, these are 2015 numbers, so what would it cost if we started right now? What kind of a percentage increase would we?
We usually use 3% per year.
3% per year?
Yeah.
So that's,
and again, these are, I would stress, these are comparative level costs. They're not construction costs, but they'll be in that ballpark.
So about 12%?
Yeah.
Give or take.
And one thing nice about the new structure is, again, you have a new project, a new dam. That'll last you for 100 years plus. Yeah.
Which one is the best for, and what's the shelf life for both new dams?
Shelf life for the design?
For the, in other words, the Peterson Dam right now is over 100 years old.
Yeah.
So what would the shelf life be for the brand new dams?
100 plus.
100 plus
And
still?
Yeah, just because there's new technology on concrete.
I see.
Yeah. Back in 21, they did very good work, but concrete was an issue.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Business shelf life, you know.
I got you.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Right. Now, was it constructed in 1911 or 1921?
Oh, 1911, sorry.
Okay.
I'm thinking about another project.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Questions, comments? Okay. Thank you very much
All
for
right.
your presentation.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. That concludes our presentations. We now have city managers' reports. We have a short presentation. I know that we've had a couple of inquiries about code enforcement, and so we have community development staff coming up to do a short presentation on code enforcement.
Good evening, Madam
Good
Mayor.
evening, Ms. Fireball. Could you please, is this our new staff member?
Yes.
Could you
so
please introduce him?
While he's getting logged in and getting the presentation ready, just so I can give you a quick update, we did lose...
Could you introduce him?
Yeah, we did lose Levi Lujan, which was our previous code enforcement officer, and this is Jeremiah Gutierrez.
Welcome,
He's
Jeremiah.
our animal control officer, which is currently handling code enforcement for us at the time. He's one of two animal control officers. Alex back there, Allington is the other one. So Jeremiah Gutierrez, he's new to the department and to the team, and we're happy to have him on the team, and he's always motivated and willing to help in any way he can, and so he's been working really hard to help us keep up with code enforcement and actually to bring it up to what we need to keep up to speed. So, and that's what he's going to present tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. Continue.
about 2 seconds, we'll have that up for you.
So good evening. As of give me 1 second.
So what he's going to present right now is kind of an updated version of a lot of the properties and issues that we've been dealing with. And that's okay, just pull that one up. So I know when Levi left, there was some other issues that we were dealing with, and so he's basically, like I said, picking them up. And as of actually the end of January, beginning of February, is when he started. He had previously been working with Levi to learn code enforcement. So we had everybody cross-trained, so it was pretty much an easy transition for him at the time. And I'll let him go ahead and present what he has.
So a few things that I basically went on with was Levi's, some of his stuff on. This one is North Gonzales. Got a recent call on this one. It is in second letter right now for red tag. So we're just waiting for compliance on it.
And a lot of these have to do with the trash and various things that a lot of neighbors and everyone is, as well as us, are concerned about bringing, pests and other things to the neighbors and to other areas around the communities that these locations are at.
This is another one. The building does belong to somebody, but there's an easement which belongs to BNSF, the railroad. So I'm actually trying to contact somebody to get their side cleaned up on top of the owner of the building also cleaned up. The one, it's a building behind Borrachos. I know there's a lot of complaints about it. As you can tell on the right picture, where it empties out right there, and that's the wall leaning against the other building as well. So that one is a real big concern.
El Rialto actually had taken some hay bales. I don't know if it was them, but someone had taken some hay bales and stuck it in between the buildings to try to save it from leaning against El Rialto. But that really hasn't helped any because it basically smashed the bales of hay now. And so it's a really major concern because now it's actually pushing against their building. And so we need to move forward to see what we could do, because you could see also on the left-hand picture at the bottom, it's deteriorating. So it's eventually going to fall from that as well. And then in the back of it, you could see where the roof and other parts, and I think you have that on the next slide, huh? Other parts of it are deteriorating and it's basically ready to collapse. So we need to move on this one as fast as we can.
The right picture is actually that wall that's leaning against it. It's actually split apart. This one contacted JAE Construction about the situation there with the color. Talked about the preservation of that building. The color, I guess, is not supposed to be blue and yellow. Believe
they're supposed to go through DRB and historic preservation, and they never did go through the DRB design review board or to historic state preservation in order to be able to get the permission to paint it that colors. As a matter of fact, our concern too is that if you look on the yellow part, this was just a few days after it was painted that paint started falling apart. And so we need to get them to come in and present to design review board. They may have to just change the color, But it is a concern because there is paint color standards that are within the design review, especially for the historic buildings, so we need to get them to come back with that. And that's the concern we're having. So a lot of the buildings on Bridge Street and Plaza, they hadn't been addressed for some of the issues that they had been just basically doing a lot of things that they're not supposed to. And so right now, that's what Jeremiah is working on, is to make sure that we go around and we address these issues and they're done properly. So even if they want to put a sign, it's fine, but as long as they take the proper steps to do it and not just doing whatever they really want to do stuff.
Are we done with the presentation?
Can I just ask on that specifically? Since it's up.
That's, okay, go ahead. I normally don't allow the questions until after presentation.
But it's hard without the visual. Just real quick, it's been on like that. How long are we giving them until they change it? Because I have had concerns, calling me pertaining to that specific
particular building.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, it hasn't been that long that it's been painted because they just started renovating this one. So it's been about a couple weeks that we've been working on it to try to, and like I say, it was during the transition of Levi and Jeremiah. So now that he's working on it, it shouldn't be too long before we can get them in there and get that repainted. It's a matter of getting them, J&E, and the property owner to the design review board to address it and get them to let them know what colors they can or cannot use.
Thank you. Continue.
So this one was abandoned vehicles on Railroad. As you can see, there is the third car down, which is that Lincoln. That was just somebody using that car, but the box truck, the older Chevy, and the big van in the back, all three of those in the right picture are actually removed. So I talked with the owners and they were in compliance. They moved them. They asked for a little bit of time for one of them because it couldn't move under its own power, so they decided to get somebody to fix it so that way it can be moved.
Yeah, so that's another issue he's working on, is a lot of these abandoned vehicles that are sitting around and trying to get them out of the way, especially down Railroad District where we're, trying to bring that district back to life. So it was a big concern with Castaneda and everything else opening in the Rawlings building and everything, that getting remodeled down there. So he's been working on the Railroad District a lot as well.
This one's another big mess. There's a total of, I believe, 6 vehicles on the property. Also just trash, a few trailers. This one I did send out a first notice on this because this is the first time of even seeing this and getting a call on it. This one, I'm actually trying to find out who the owner is. I actually found out yesterday. So they're getting a first notice as well to get this boarded up. So that way, there's no any, illegal activities going on inside or, anybody sleeping in there or anything. Get it cleaned up and straightened and at least look a little bit better. And also this one, I believe it previously burned. The owner hasn't done anything with it. Now with these high winds, as you can tell on the roof up there, the tin up top is just blowing off and it can potentially, damage property or, hurt somebody. So contacting the owner on this as well for a first notice to get this house boarded up, the roof fixed, and back up to where it needs to be.
So Jeremiah's been working hard on, again, trying to really work on a lot of these properties. You'll notice this is a list. We don't want to take the whole night to go through every property and what it looks like and what we're doing with it, but this is a list of all. Some of them are Tilda, and I know those were some previous concerns. There's quite a few Dalton properties, so there's quite a few on here that he's really working hard with and working to make sure we go through the steps properly with them and we get the files together and so that it could be picked up like before. We did have a problem with having complete files from the previous code enforcement, so we're working on making sure that we have them digitally and in paper form, so that if whether Jeremiah continues or we get someone else, that we would have everything available, is exactly what properties are being fixed, where they're at, and every piece of information in those files for those properties.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, now we'll open it up for questions. Councilor Casey.
Thank you. I'm looking at the list, and I've asked several times about properties that have been reported since like last May. It's already going to be a year, and nothing has been done. And as a matter of fact, I got an email this afternoon from someone saying, you know, it's been forever since anybody's been out here, what's going on? And so there's properties on 3rd Street, I think it's 13, I can't remember the exact number, on 3rd Street. There was another one on 6th Street behind Judge Baca's home. That's property owned by Mr. Dalton. And then there's another one on 1st Street that the family apparently even has a cow in their backyard. And nothing has been done, and that was reported a long time ago. They're burning tires back there. I had somebody call me and say, you know, we can't breathe. I woke up this morning kind of, you know, congested and things like that. So if you could go back through Levi's old records, please, and look for those on those particular streets, 6th Street, I think it's 1306 or 1309, I can't remember. The one on 1st and the one on 3rd, I would really appreciate it because those people call me like once a week at least. So I would appreciate it greatly.
I believe you stated that those properties are already included in this list, correct?
Yeah, especially, well, I know the one on 6th Street, that one's been a major issue, and I get called on that one a lot as well, and so we've really been pushing forward to see what we can do with that one. I believe that one was already at second notice, and it was up for abatement, and we had already brought that one to council. So, yeah. So we'll be moving forward with that one now that we have the files together.
Thank you very much, Councilor Romero.
Thank you.
What is the plan as far as being proactive? You know, it's unfortunate, you know, it gets to a certain point on some of these properties that, you know, they have to give us a call. And then, yes, they're getting addressed. But what about all those properties that we're not getting the calls, but we know they're out there, you know, and they're, you know, sometimes worse than some of the ones that we are calling in. So what is the code enforcement doing, you know, when they see those? Are they driving by and checking them? Because it's, you know, we call them and, you know, we just need to prevent, you know, be preventative instead of, you know, reactive as we're getting the calls.
Right, and that's the new goal. Jeremiah, like I say, he's very motivated to make sure that it gets done. So what he's been doing is anytime, you know, there's times where we have a period where we have to wait for process of certain ones after notices. So he's been driving around all the different blocks and actually taking the time to look at the buildings, whether it's business, commercial, residence, even vacant lots for that matter. He's really been taking the time to go around the town and look and see if he can find as many of those to address them right away, especially before summer comes, because then that's when all the rodents and everything else start to come out and it causes a bigger issue. So he's really been trying to get around town and find all these different places so we don't have to wait for somebody to call in. And there's been plenty of times where we go out together, like if he's concerned about something but not sure, you know, we'll go out together and we'll look at these and see what we can do to address them.
And as you do that, you know, I don't know if there's like, you know, we can, you know, map out the city and a level one would be, you know, directly those properties that, you know, as people come into the town, well, of course we want to make sure, you know, priority those ones are, you know, that those ones are addressed first, and as we go deeper into the level 2, level 3, you know, depending on you know, the most used, you know, of course, anybody that comes in, we want to make sure that every single property, or as they're passing through, you know, they're eyesores to be, you know, they're going to be eyesores that, you know, people passing through, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And I believe believe they addressed that based on the criticalness of the actual property.
Well, not just the criticalness, but also what he was saying.
Yes,
like, that's
of
why
course.
he addressed
But one of the
railroad.
things is if you see a roof that's ready to fall and it's in the deeps of the wood, it has to be addressed.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, as you're doing the preventative part, is that, you start with the priority is, as you're coming down into town. The other part, if you give me an update on the Tilden property, because I keep getting from that neighborhood, what's the update on that one?
There's a few properties that he does have, like the 6th Street. That's one that's basically ready for abatement.
Is it the same property owners? Or?
Yeah. There's also the one right next to the police station. That one, I believe, Levi he had a file on that, and I believe that was on its second notice, and a letter, I believe, also.
So what we're trying to do is take those ones specifically, since it's the same owner, on the Tilden, the 6th Street, and also over on that other, the area by the police station, is we're trying to put those together, and then we're also trying to follow the state statute because there are some other concerns that come along with that one. And then we plan to go to city attorney to see how we can take those and address them all into one and have them all taken care of immediately. Because it seems to, when we address one of those properties, he seems to move things to another one. So to avoid that, we're trying to group them together so that we don't have that movement from one to the other and have to have this continuous process of addressing him with the same situation over and over again.
Okay, any questions? Councilor Omari?
I do have some questions on the code enforcement. How do you, I know you have a list of all the properties that you've gone and see what's going on with them. Have you worked on the website? Or do you have some kind of an agenda that you go and see, say you start in the west side and Salazar and go down the streets? Because there's a lot of, I don't see none of the addresses there that I've got concerns on. And what they did is they did red flag maybe 5 or 6, and nothing was done with it. Nothing got done. They did a little bit of work on some of them, but after I let it go for like 4 or 5, 6 months, I'm coming back to give you a list on the properties. What I'm concerned on is how do you work your wards, you know.
So right now is what's going on.
Just on code enforcement, like, abandoned houses,
Yeah, well, because Jeremiah is new, we're trying to pick up from where it was left off. So right now what he's doing is he's addressing all the ones that have files and stuff for him. And they might not all be on here because we're still going through all that file system. But as we go through it, he's addressing all those properties. But at the same time, like I say, there's times in between where he has to go patrol, so then he'll go and he'll patrol. A lot of the times when he is patrolling, though, he'll get a call from me or somebody else saying, you need to get to Railroad or you need to get to this place, I just got a call. So he's trying to get to them as we go through the file system, but at the same time, he's trying to patrol different areas and wards. So like right now, it's only been a couple weeks, so he's addressed the Railroad area, and that next, he'll go through, the west side and parts of the plaza and Bridge Street he's been addressing, but it'll take a little time because he's still learning the process as well. But we're doing that together so that I can also, teach him this is what we need to do. But the plan for the future is to go through each different ward and find these buildings and these residents and homes and such that are in bad conditions or that have been reported and address those right away.
Can we get some information on the properties that are have concerns on, or say you're in the west side or anywhere in town? That way in my ward, I could see which other properties are being addressed or not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll work on that. What we'll do is we'll put something together and we can do it based on ward. That's that's not a problem. Yeah.
Councilor Howell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Ms. Maruja.
Good evening.
And Jeremiah, welcome. Thank you. It's kind of different than Little Debbie's.
Yeah.
But I know that you'll have there's a big, large learning curve for you. So you got to do a lot of reading and of the ordinances, and because I know you'll do well. Because I've known you for a while. Welcome. Two things. If you can take a look at 12th Street going down towards Highland from Leo's Glass, there's a couple of abandoned vehicles there that has been there for quite a while. And this lady comes and talks with me all the time and says, nobody's taken care of that yet. So please take a look at that. Number two, on Peggy Lane, there's an abandoned house that is close to Miss Ortiz, Diane Ortiz's home. That is, the weeds are growing up really bad, and they're seeing vermin, little rodents going in and out of their homes and coming and killing the cats and stuff. So please take a look at that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. Also, I'd like to advise you to provide a copy of this presentation to the council. And also, I'd like to advise the council that in the future, please address your concerns about your ward in your councilor's reports. That's where they're needed. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Council.
I'm also going to ask Virginia to update Mayor and Council on the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm going to invite Angie up here because she has our box, as we call it, that we got. So as we know, Angie is our film liaison and event planner, and she's been really working hard on everything from events to film, and all that hard work has really paid off. We were asked to go to the Film and Television Hall of Fame this weekend, and it was nice because there was actors, directors, producers that were, and movies and such that were getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. The great thing about us is that it wasn't just a movie, it wasn't just an actor or producer, it wasn't just an entity or a film liaison, it was the entire city that was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And so we were presented with this wonderful award.
That's our award.
And so it was nice again, because it wasn't just one particular area of the film, it was the whole entire aspects of film, tourism, productions, education, everything that came together that got Las Vegas, the whole entire city, inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. You ladies are doing an outstanding job, all of you, your entire department of Virginia. And we're so fortunate to have you there. And I am very proud of all the work that you're doing and every single employee in the department is doing. We've moved from leaps and bounds, and we are accomplishing a lot in that department and a lot of awards and honors. So thank you very much.
And thank you for all the support, each and every one of you.
The last thing I'd like Ms. Marujo to do is to just update us on the Las Vegas night that is coming up on the 28th of February.
Yes, so Las Vegas United Legislature is coming up next week, and I hope to see every one of you there. Angie has been working really hard on making sure that we have everything together. We've been working really hard together. Actually, the whole entire department has been working hard together. We really work well as a team, and it's nice to have that teamwork together. So it's the 28th. We are having Las Vegas Day, which will be from 10 to 3 p.m. We have included Pecos, the village of Pecos. We've included Mora County and New Mexico Highlands University, Luna Community College, ourselves, and San Miguel County have partnered together to create a really nice event. We sent out personal letters to all our legislators, to our governor, to our lieutenant governor, anybody else that we feel really represents Las Vegas and the surrounding communities. And we did get quite a bit of response back when we asked if they wanted to speak at Las Vegas Night. And we also sent them invitations even if they did not want to speak at the event. We have, I believe, 7 to 8 senators that are going to be there to speak. We have 3 representatives, and we have a lieutenant governor. We have 3 mayors, and we have a whole bunch of county commissioners. President Sam Minner is going to be there. We're going to have representation from East and West Las Vegas schools. We're also going to have someone there to speak on, what am I missing? And there's just a wide variety of speakers. We have great entertainment. We're going to have dancers in the beginning that are going to open. We're going to have mariachis. Both of them are going to be there. We're also going to have Gabriel Serna Jr., who's going to be there to represent our youth. And Gonzalo is going to close out the event for us. So we look forward to a great event this year.
Again, thank you very much for all the work that you do. I think it's going to be an extremely successful event this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. Thank you.
The last
Do you have a question?
Oh, just, I know you invited the Lieutenant Governor. I did the Attorney General and the State Auditor also. So just...
Yeah, the Lieutenant Governor, actually, he's the one that I was missing. Okay. He's going to be there to speak as well. Yes, he's very excited about it. I ran into him at the New Mexico Hospitality Conference, and he was very excited about it. So.
And you mentioned the Mayor Pecos, our mayor, who's the...
Wagon Mountain.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. The last thing is I would like Ms. Gilberry to come up and update the mayor and council on some of the water issues.
Good evening, Mayor. Council. Thank you, Madam Manager. First thing that I would like to announce is that the cabin site tank passed its final inspection over the weekend, and we were able to disinfect it on Monday, and staff are now starting the process of filling the tank. I won't know for a few days on how rapidly we'll be able to fill the tank. We are filling it in the overnight hours so that it does not impact any customers. So we'll do it during our low demand hours. So over the next few days, I'll get a better idea of when we'll be able to have that tank filled. As everybody knows, I believe everybody knows, we did have another water leak, and it started yesterday. We received a report around lunchtime on Tuesday, and staff tried isolating it. They were decided to go ahead and try and repair it live. They were able to put a patch on it, but it didn't stop the leak. They continued to work until about 10 o'clock last night, trying to locate a way to isolate it so that they could make a repair with that would totally stop the water flow. And they were unable to do that. It started getting too cold. The equipment was freezing. Staff was not safe for staff, so we went ahead and made the determination to go ahead and send the staff home. We were able to do, again, that partial patch, which did greatly reduce the water loss that we had, but it didn't stop the leak. This morning, first thing, staff came out. We were able to find the rogue valve. It was under a pile of railroad ties. So once we were able to remove the railroad ties, we were able to find our valve, isolate it, and make the repair. So by lunchtime today, the repair had been made and water was restored to everybody. That is what happens in water lines. They do have leaks, they do have failures, and we do have challenges with trying to find valving that have been paved over or valving that have been buried. I am currently and have been working on establishing a valve crew, and as we continue to hire staff members, there will be a crew that will be fully dedicated to hydrants and valves, exercising valves, locating valves, uncovering valves, and repairing or replacing valves if necessary. And we've been working towards this, but we've lost some staff members over the years, and so we have to prioritize repairs and services. And then we do try and catch up with the valves and the hydrants when we can. But my goal is to have a valve and hydrant crew so we can locate all of our hydrants and all of our valves and GPS them We do have a goal of GPSing every hydrant and every valve so that we're not trying to guess on where their locations are based on 30, 40, 50-year-old maps and somebody's recollection, but we will have them all GPSed. But staff went out today and they were trying to find other leaks. We weren't sure if that was the only leak, but once it was isolated, they were able to restore what we needed at Camden site. Supplemental, we still operate off the supplemental tank. The other good news is our contracted manager was able to get hold of some assistance, and we were able to restore the pump house up at Camp Luna. So now even if there is a loss of water, the pumps are operational. When pressures drop to a certain level, the pumps will kick on and Camp Luna will be provided water from Luna Tank, where up until recently it was all gravity fed, which is one of the reasons why they weren't able to receive water. So we've made that change, and now as long as there's water in Luna Tank or water in Cabin Site Tank, Camp Luna will have water. Camp Luna residents will have water.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Questions, comments?
And just one question.
Yes, sir.
The release of, for the public announcement, you know, depending on the water situation, can you explain how that happens? Who calls the schools and lets them know? I know there was some frustration. The schools, I got a call from, you know, one of the maintenance guys. By the time I returned the call, of course, the water was on it. It's about that time I think that, you know, I had texted you. It just, who within the city is going and letting those superintendents or presidents or whatever it takes?
Yes, Councilor, that's my staff. My staff, when it's related to utilities, my staff, first thing is I give them direction to go ahead and put a PSA out. We put the PSA out, it does go through the city manager's office. And we also notify any entities that we know might be immediately impacted. And they called the schools, they called each school district.
They call the district itself or
Yes,
the school itself?
they call the districts
Sort of the way it was
themselves to let them
explained to me, and again, you know, I don't know if it's true or not, is that at the high school at West Las Vegas, is that an employee went in there and said, okay, well, there's not going to be no water. And they asked, well, when will the water be on? And said, we don't know. It might not be they don't even know if it would be for tomorrow either.
Right.
So I guess my concern is, or can you, I don't know, if we maybe sit down with the schools and find out who that point of communication is, because if it's the high school principal or a building or whoever that, you know, that person is, are they not?
And we actually try and get more than one person because we don't know who's going to get the information out the quickest. One person that my distribution staff contact immediately are the maintenance staff. So they contacted the maintenance supervisor at West Las Vegas because we knew West Las Vegas was going to be more impacted most likely than East Las Vegas. But we did contact the maintenance, and then again my staff also contacted the administrative offices, because we would like to get it out to as many people as possible, along with getting it out to the radio stations on the website. We send it over to IT so we can get it on the website, and then we address phone calls as they come in.
Because I didn't know if it was proper. I didn't know if the number I have is your personal or your work. So
That's the number for everybody to contact me. That is, it's the number that I use for. It is my personal number, but I prefer to have one number that everybody can reach me at. So. And that's the one I use. I don't like having multiple numbers, somebody guessing which one to call. So, and they can always call me, and many people do have my phone number. But we do try and reach out to as many people as we possibly can. In this particular case, distribution staff was already pretty tired from the night before, and when we came in this morning, we thought there was a second leak, so I gave them direction to focus on that first leak, and I sent gas and other divisions out to try and locate the second leak.
So is that leak completely done?
Yes, completely done, repaired, buried. Back in operation.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Laverne. Appreciate the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. That concludes City Manager's report. We now have the finance report by Ms. Juana Vega.
She's going to be tired.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I'd like to present the revenue reports for the month ended June 31st. I'm in January.
It's been a long day.
Yes, it's been a long day. January 31st, 2019, 58% of our year has elapsed, 7 months. The general fund total of revenues which are reflected on the cash basis, $6,738,093. Total expenditures, also reflected on the cash basis, are $6,069,097. Results in net cash of $668,996. Enterprise funds revenues are reflected on the accrual basis, $9,086,919. Total expenditures, $8,138,175, for a total net increase of cash in all the funds of $948,744. The rec center also reflected on the cash basis total revenues with the inclusion of a transfer coming in from the general fund, $340,828, and total expenditures of $324,035 for net cash reflection of $16,796.
Okay, I have a question. We still have a cash cow on the recreation department, but it seems or appears like we're doing better with regards to the revenues, correct?
To what?
To the revenues?
Revenues, yes, revenues and expenditures are down simply because the customer.
I'm sorry, in what fund are you talking about?
The recreation.
Well, we have the AFL, which is at 0. We have other revenues which are lower, the summer program, of course.
The basketball leagues, the YABO programs are also, and then we're going into the adult basketball programs, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. But overall, the revenues have increased, and they've remained consistent with, as a matter of fact, they're actually into a positive cash balance. It's been a while since we've been able to get them into a positive cash balance, and they have a concession stand going that makes some very, very good money for the recreation department, and they have that going in operation, and so they've been bringing in the revenues.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, revenues have been generated and expenditures are being monitored closely, and we do have a net cash increase for the current year of $16,700.
Controls are pretty consistent. You've maintained 58% of yes. To that. That looks very good.
Yes.
Exceptional. Any questions, comments? Okay, continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vega. The next item is the consent agenda items. Madam Mayor, members of the... I'm sorry.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the board? Lorraine?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve consent agenda item 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that they be read into the record proper by the clerk.
Second.
Okay.
Do I do the motion?
Could you get us
or
to
read it
just
first?
Just one.
Up here.
Number 1, approval for out-of-state travel to Phoenix, Arizona for 2 police personnel to attend police internal affairs training on April 7th through April 13th, 2019. Number 2, approval for out-of-state travel to Longmont, Colorado for an animal control officer to attend the training academies on animal care and cruelty investigation training on April 8th through April 12th, 2019. Number 3, approval of resolution number 19-08, assuring the availability of matching funds for the participation in the New Mexico Department of Transportation Municipal Cooperative Agreement in the amount of $75,000, which is 25% of total estimated project cost of $300,000 for phase 3 and 5. Number 4, approval of resolution number 19-09, assuring the availability of matching funds for the participation in the New Mexico Department of Transportation Municipal Arterial Program in the amount of $125,000, which is 25% of the total estimated project cost of $500,000 for phase 2 of 5.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Roll call.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Yulgari Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey and a second by Counselor Howell. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carried.
Thank you very much. Let's continue.
We'll now go into business items. The first item is approval, disapproval of resolution number 19-12, mass casualty incident planning process, and adoption of the San Miguel County, City of Las Vegas mass casualty incident plan.
Thank you again. Good evening, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Maestas.
Mr. O'Neill? Yes, sir.
I think, we got the presentation. If there's any question, now we could probably move on.
Well, we have to still vote.
Yeah, I know, but,
Yeah.
I
Well,
would make the motion.
let him do his presentation. He might have something to add that he might have forgot. Regardless,
No,
go
that's
ahead
pretty
and
much
present.
it. Oh, is that,
No, we're done.
okay.
Okay, do we
No,
have any questions on item 1? Questions, comments? None? Okay.
Madam
What's the
Mayor?
pleasure of the board?
Good job.
Madam Mayor, I move
Yes.
to approve Resolution 19-12, mass casualty incident planning process and adoption of the San Miguel County / City of Las Vegas mass casualty plan.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay.
Counselor Yulgari Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Romero and a second by Counselor Howell. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carried.
Okay, thank you very much. Here, the second. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Maestas.
Okay.
Approval, disapproval of, the next item on the agenda, Madam Mayor, members of the council, is approval, disapproval of resolution number 19-10, budget adjustment, and we have Ms. Tana Vega.
Ms. Vegas, good to see you again.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Finance Department is requesting approval, disapproval of Resolution 1910. We are requesting an increase to the 2019 budgeted revenues, expenditures, transfers to and from within various funds of the fiscal year 2019 budget. Specifically, the police department has collected monies in overtime paid out from the movies and the Walmart. And also, there was a grant from the U.S. Marshals.
Questions, comments?
Good one. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Vega?
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just had a question on, did Walmart pay us also? Because I didn't see a check for Walmart.
I'm sure it was attached in the documents.
Was there a different name for Walmart, or?
There may have been Social Security.
But they did pay us?
Yes, they did for Black Friday.
Right. We had to provide security for that?
They requested if we were able to provide security, yes.
Oh, really?
And they paid the officers the overtime hours.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
Yes.
I bet you that was an exciting evening, huh?
To say the least.
I stayed away from that.
Yeah. Thank you. I
I
just
don't
didn't.
need anything that badly.
I just didn't see the check. That's
I'm sure I attached it. I think it was close to $1,200 or something like that for the officers. That provided the security.
Well, as long as they got it, we got it. So
Yes, they did.
That's what counts. Thank you.
Any other questions? That's a pleasure of the board.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the resolution 19-10 for the budget adjustment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Counselor, okay. Roll call?
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Villabree Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey and a second by Counselor Howell. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you very
Rita.
much.
Item number 3, the approval, disapproval of resolution number 19-11, authorizing and approving submission of an application for financial assistance and project approval to the New Mexico Finance Authority to update the City of Las Vegas Comprehensive Master Plan. We have Mr. Robert Archuleta and Ms. Marujo.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council.
Good evening.
You have before you Resolution 19-11, which is an application, which I have here in this big binder, for financial assistance for a comprehensive master plan, and a request for $50,000 from the New Mexico Finance Authority. In the application itself, we have the application, which is just sort of the template that's required to fill out. And then we have a fiscal audit, which is the most recent adopted by the governing body. We have a budget, a resolution, the resolution, if approved today, the governing rules, the governing body rules, our charter, our Open Meetings Act, and our ICIP, which are all requirements of the application to NMFA. The monies will probably most likely be released in March. This puts us ahead of the game. So when the monies are released, we can then drive this application over to Santa Fe and drop it off, and hopefully be the first municipality to turn it in. So we kind of got ahead of the curve. Upon approval of the resolution, the mayor can sign the application, and then we can turn it in. So therefore, I am recommending that Resolution 1911 be adopted by the governing body, and I'll stand for questions.
I have a question, actually another question. I want to, first of all, thank you, and of course, Virginia, for all that you do, Mr. Archuleta. I know that we had a lot of input requests regarding public input from your department, and you have been exceptionally instrumental in preparing every single piece of documentation that goes into that request. And I reviewed, of course, every single page prior to signing, and you have done an exceptional job. So I thank you on behalf of the city, because it's very important that we address those as expeditiously and as clearly as possible, and you've done a great job. So
Thank you,
for
Madam Mayor. I
that.
appreciate
and
that.
And also for preparing any of the NMFA paperwork and other legislative paperwork that you've been asked to do. You've done a good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Okay, Councilor Romero.
I just also want to commend Mr. Archuleta. I know I came to see the city manager, had a couple of questions. She directed me to you, and, thank you. I know, for so long on some of these plans that, we've been so far behind, but so thank you for being on top of those and then doing what you're doing. And like you said, by doing this application today, and you're going to be the one, try to get us to be the first municipality to turn it in. I think that's important, and I think that's what we need, is make sure we're on top of things. I know my big thing was the CDBG, grants that are out there, but because we can't apply for those, it's some of the stuff we're missing, but you're on top of it, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Romero.
Thank you very much. Who is next? Councilor Howell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening again, Mr. Archuleta. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So, in line with what Councilor Romero was saying about the CBDG, CDBG grant, are we going to be ready to apply for that with all the work that you've done with this?
Well, the way the process works, and you can answer that, is that in order for us to submit the application process to begin with, we have to have the feasibility studies, the readiness to proceed. All the forms and applications must be fully ready and to present. But essentially, when they're actually doing the review on the ranking and rating team at the state level, they review it very carefully to ensure that all of this criteria has been met. If this criteria has not been met, and this is going to be the difficult part, there's going to be a lot of competition out there. So the feasibility studies are going to be fierce. Everybody's going to want a piece of pie. So if we fall within that criteria, because we're pretty much going to be tied with a lot of them, then the ranking and rating process will be determined based, one, on that, and two, also the funding availability, and also the slums and blighted areas with certification for specific areas within the city. Go ahead and continue.
Madam Mayor, Councilor Howell, I believe that the Comprehensive Master Plan is a kind of a precursor to applying for CDBG funds, in that a municipality can lose points on a competitive scoring process if our plan is not up to date. And that's the first goal, is to get it up to date. Yes, Madam Mayor.
So when is the timeline for applying for the that grant?
CDBG.
The block grant?
The CDBG training is usually held in late spring, and then they give you about a 3-month timeline thereafter to apply for funds.
Okay.
What we're looking at,
the
though,
rating process.
but what we're looking at is, since we've started the asset management plan as well as the comprehensive master plan, we're hoping that we'll get points for at least starting the process and being well into the project when and if we do apply for the CDBG. Now, what we did is we had applied for the Hot Springs Boulevard project under CDBG, and most recently we have gone ahead and submitted legislative request for the Hot Springs Boulevard project as well. And so we'll see if we're awarded anything through the legislative process. Then we'll go back to the drawing board and decide whether we can go ahead. And a lot will happen at the training session. And so that's what we're trying to get ready for.
Okay, good.
Yes.
On the asset management plan, I know you guys were scheduled to meet with the company that is doing it. Where are we at that with that?
Madam Mayor, Councilor Romero, we've had our initial kickoff meeting, which is essentially just kind of planning out where we need to go from here. Right now, I'm working on collecting some information on all the streets to give to the engineer, so that when they do the assessment of the streets, we're not going and assessing someone else's street, like the counties, for example, and that we're accurate and that we're prioritizing the most important streets that need to get done. As you're aware, it is budgetary as well, so we need to get started on the streets that are really in need of the most assessments, if you will.
It was a very informative kickoff meeting, which also included Public Works Department, and also gave us some training and some education on how the streets are going to be assessed and how they actually work, and how the combination of those is going to be able to help us to improve the roads throughout the town.
And you do the assessments with the Public Works? Very good. Thank you.
Just one short question. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Please inform the council when you have that public meeting for the CDB, the grant, block grant.
Block grant?
Because last time I didn't, or I don't know if anyone of us got information on it.
Well, we'll be glad to share that information. We have, I believe it's 2 or 3 public meetings that we need to hold, and so we will.
Good.
Usually that we try to hold them in different areas, but we'll be glad to, of course, make sure that you're updated.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Casey.
I just want to say thank you to Mr. Archuleta for the work that he does, because he is proactive and he stays on top of everything that is going on and plans ahead instead of waiting until, it's due next week, what are we going to do? And he does an incredible amount of research and an awful lot of work, and his work, from what I have seen, when it comes before the council, is impeccable work, and I want to thank him for that.
Thank you very much.
Ditto.
Councilor Olivetti.
I want to thank you to Mr. Archuleta. I just want to thank you for doing a good job. I do think that if you're going to assess some of the west sides, I've been living in my area for a lot of years, more half a century, and those 2 other streets there haven't done too much on but if we can assess them and get something done, thank you for that.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Councilor Ibarri, myself and Daniel Goudelet from Public Works have gone out to every ward and looked at as many streets as possible, and certainly the west side is also on our radar.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You're valued and appreciated, as are you, Ms. Marujo, and the entire staff. Thank you very much for all of that you do.
Thank you, Madam
Okay,
Mayor.
now here we are. What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 19-11, authorizing and approving the submission of an application for financial assistance and project approval to the New Mexico Finance Authority to update the City of Las Vegas Comprehensive Master Plan.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Yulbury Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey and a second by Counselor Howell and Counselor Yulbury Jr. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Item number 4, approval, disapproval to award request for proposal 2019-07 to Souter Miller and Associates for water and wastewater treatment plant operations and management services. We have Ms. Maria Gilberry.
Ms. Gilberry.
Mayor, Councilor,
Correct me
Madam Manager.
if I'm saying that incorrectly.
Gilberry is perfect.
Thank you.
And thank you for supporting me by trying to have
Absolutely.
a resident say my name properly.
Absolutely, you're doing a good job.
A former employee, Esteban Medina, used to call me Blueberry, so.
Well, it's pretty close.
And I believe that's officially on record now. Esteban, everybody knows what you called me. Mayor, Councilors, Madam Manager, I'm here to request approval to award our water and wastewater management services to Sauter Miller and Associates. On January 25th, we advertised in the Optic, the Albuquerque Journal, and on the City's website for these management services. And we've discussed this, I believe I've presented before. It's very critical that we maintain our management services with the proper New Mexico state certified levels. We did have 2 proposers, Jacobs and Sauter Miller and Associates, and we opened them on February 12th. Jacobs is a fantastic company, Dallas-based company that acquired Colorado-based company CH2M Hill recently. They are a very large company that has been helping on many water and wastewater projects for over 50 years, I believe. They're a very large company, and they do have the ability to take over any water or wastewater facility. And Sauter Miller and Associates is a local New Mexico firm that does have an operations-specific wing of their company, where they have certified New Mexico operators, and both companies have certified New Mexico operators, that can come in and not only maintain our facility, but can train and build up each one of our employees to hopefully take control of our plant and be able to have it run by city employees and not have to continue to have it run by a contractor. These proposals went before a board. The board was made up of a water employee, a wastewater employee. We had I believe a gas employee may have sat on it as well, and project management employees also sat on it. I did not sit on the board. I never sit on any of these boards. They evaluated both proposals, and the recommendation that came back from the board was that we award to Sauter Miller and Associates. As you can see on the evaluations, many of the specialized services, there was comparable. Both firms are capable, highly capable. There was not as much of a past record of performance, it appears in the idea of the board here, and the familiarity with the city was very obvious. Sauter Miller and Associates have been for years working with the city of Las Vegas, and they're very well aware of our system, which helps when we have critical issues like today when we had the water leak. They can actually help us locate some of our issues in our system because of the experiences they have with the system. So what it comes down to is the board went ahead and evaluated both of them and recommended to me that we move forward with Sauter Miller and Associates, and I concurred with their recommendation, and I'm requesting to the City Council that we go ahead and award to Sauter Miller and Associates. And this would potentially be up to a 4-year contract. It's renewable every year, with the goal being to not have to do this for 4 years. Our goal would be to either bring in a level 4 who can learn this plant, run this plant, know it like the back of their hand, eat, sleep, and dream our plant, or again, build up from within or bring someone in. But until then, we absolutely need someone who knows our PRVs, who knows our treatment protocols, who knows our system, and I do concur with the evaluation board that Sauter Miller and Associates will be able to keep us in safe and healthy quality water.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? Councilor Howell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Ms. Strawberry. I mean, Gilberry.
Strawberry.
That's what I get for saying that, spelling that story.
I know that we've had struggles in trying to recruit level 4 operators. And with Sauter Miller, they have level 4 operators within their organization.
Yes, sir, absolutely. They have level 4 in both water and wastewater, multiple level 4s. So when we need more than one level 4 to come in, let's say somebody needs to take a vacation, or we just need that extra 20 or 30 years of experience, that usually level 4 has decades of experience. And these gentlemen and other personnel, I believe there's also some women that are working at Sauter Miller, they've actually been working at many of the plants that are similar to ours, whether it's Taos or Espanola or some of the other communities in the area.
How are they able to recruit or have on their staff level 4 operators?
Counselor, they are a private business, so they can pay a lot more than a municipality can pay.
Money.
So are they going to hire or bring to our community the former level 4 operators that we've had?
That was discussed, and it's always a possibility that somebody who has the experience in our system would be hired by somebody like Sauter Miller to continue that experience here, but it's not always guaranteed, because even with a level 4 doesn't mean that you would have the fortitude to be able to find the problems and seek them out. We've had several good level 4s that have worked for the city in the past, so I wouldn't discount it, but that's not who we're hiring right now. Who we're hiring is level 4 Marvin Martinez, Gene, and I apologize I didn't get Gene's last name. He's a dual level 4. So we'll be able to bring, the benefit of this is we'll be able to bring in some level 4s who have water wastewater experience, and they can jump from each plant to each plant. And there is actually, there has been discussion about water and wastewater, not here necessarily at the city, but statewide and in other communities and other states, that they be the same team. It's the same thing. It's the water at the beginning and water at the end, and it's both treated. So many of the same skills and abilities to be able to troubleshoot are the same at the beginning or the end of the process.
I'm just curious, Ms. Gilberry, if we're hiring Sauter Miller and they're going to provide to us level 4 operators, and they're going to pay a good amount of money for them, why aren't we investing in level 4 operators and pay them good money?
Counselor, I know that we are doing what we can to invest in level 4 operators, in the sense that we encourage all of our employees, all water employees, to obtain their levels. I do try and on the regular basis speak to some of the employees that I know that have that fortitude, to let them know that there is a growth plan out there. Somebody else could be that level 4 in a few years. The city sends them to the training, we send them to the testing. One of the areas that I've noticed, honestly, Counselor, is several of the employees have said, well, you need to teach me everything I need to know. What are you giving to me so that I can pass the test? And that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for self-motivated people who will spend hours after work researching and learning about our water and wastewater systems.
So when we recruit,
yes,
do we offer a good pay for the level 4 operators to come to us?
Counselor, I couldn't honestly answer that question straightforward. If I answered from my heart, I would say no. I would say we do not pay them what they do, what they're worth.
Would you agree to do it? Would you think that would be wise investment for us to have a good paying level 4 operator?
So that I can come to the council with definitive numbers. I've already been tasking staff and other, trying to get other assistants to bring the numbers. I want to know what they're paying in Colorado, what they're paying in New Mexico, in Santa Fe, in Albuquerque, in Santa Rosa, so that when I do bring that statement to you that this is actually what a level 4, a level 3, a level 2, a level 1 should be paid, I've got something to back that up right now, what I have is, these people are treating your water, it's what you drink, and I would think we would want to pay them the maximum that we could, within the fact that it is a community that doesn't have a lot of money. So, and it is a low-income community, but it's also a low cost of living community. So we do have to balance that when we're bringing in a level 4. We're not just paying them for their skills, we're also paying them for how much it's going to cost them to live here.
Would you not have to visit the actual pay plan as well?
Yes, absolutely, would have to go through the pay plan. So it would be, to answer your question, I'm not sure we're paying them right, but I can't give you the definitive numbers until I do my research, and then once my research is done, I would have to bring that back to the city manager and the council to be able to defend what I believe is correct, and I could absolutely be wrong. We could be paying them exactly what is a proper rate for this size community.
Yeah, I think it would be a great investment for our city to get good level 4 operators.
I think one of the things, if you don't have level 4 operators, whether it's water or any equipment operators, any position, if you're not able to hire them, CDL drivers, then we do need to look at why. And
Well, like you mentioned, it's the pay, so.
it could be the pay, it could also be the stress. It's a tremendous amount of stress right now on my staff, and if everything was going perfectly, they might be, is the pay okay when everything is golden? But when there's challenges, then is that part of the problem, is just this stress level. Not everybody can handle stress very well. Some people thrive on it. I like solving problems. Counselor, I came up from no water levels to my level 4 water level in 5 years here at the city because I wanted to. Pay didn't matter. I just wanted to.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Can I add a little humor before we vote? Before I got married, my last name was Perea, and I got called Miss Pyrea, Miss Karana, Miss Pinata. So Pillsbury, I wouldn't even worry about it. And when I got married, the kids said, "That's the best thing you could have ever done, because now we can say your name."
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the award request for proposal 2019-07 to Souder Miller and Associates for water and wastewater treatment plant operations and management services.
Second. Roll call.
Councilor Romero?
Yes.
Councilor Casey?
Yes.
Councilor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
Councilor Howell?
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Casey, a second by Councilor Howell. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Next item on the agenda is the approval, disapproval to award request for proposal 2019-08 to the Electric Horsemen Incorporated for commercial electrical services. Ms. Gilbert.
Ms. Gilbert.
Mayor, councilors, Madam Manager. At the same time when we were having some issues at the plant, we realized that we were in need of a lot of electrical services, and we didn't have the time to wait for 3 quotes, the process that goes along with it. So we had to go through the emergency process, explaining why it was emergency. Up at the plant, there are pieces of equipment, circuit boards, where if they fail, then our filtration system stops working, and we have to stop producing water until we can fix it. We have power outages. So there were many needs for electrical services that needed to be solved within hours. So we decided to go ahead and move forward with a request for proposal so that we could have an electrician under contract so that we could take care of many of these issues immediately. We did advertise on January 25th. We always advertise in the Optic, the Albuquerque Journal. We always put it on the website. Proposal was opened on February 12th, and we had one proposer, Electric Horsemen. Electric Horsemen has worked for the city in many projects. They've done our bulk water stations. They've worked at the water treatment plant. They've done, I believe, worked at our well field. So we have extensive experience with Electric Horsemen at the commercial level for our needs. Again, it was board members, the same board members. They were all evaluated at the same time. They went ahead and evaluated and confirmed that Electric Horsemen is a quality company, and therefore I am requesting approval that we award the commercial electrical services contract to the Electric Horsemen, which is a local company.
Questions, comments? Councilor Romero.
I just want to say, I think they're a great company. I've worked with them, they've worked for the school, so I know their work is quality, great service. The only question I have is, based off this RFP, is there a priority-based, if they're busy somewhere else and we have an emergency, is there some type of priority-based system that we have in place that,
They do have multiple employees, and for instance, today, the reason why I brought up the board was because we had an emergency today, and they were called, and he sent them out right away. We needed to get that board addressed, and they came out and they looked at it, and we were able to come up with a plan.
So if we have an
for it.
emergency, they will be-
Dennis has always put the city as a priority, especially when he's aware that it has to do with our water treatment or wastewater treatment. He does prioritize it.
So that was addressed.
Next, Councilor Howell.
Yeah, I just, in line with Councilor Romero, I think this is as needed, right?
Yes, it's as needed.
And for how long of a period?
It's up to a 4-year contract, but it's renewable every year.
Okay, renewable.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a good company, so.
Yeah, and we've had excellent service with them on many projects. We've put out RFPs before, and they've been awarded the projects, sometimes as a subcontractor.
Do you know why only one proposer submitted?
I cannot answer that. We did advertise wherever we could. I can't answer. I do know that almost every time we do a project, they end up being the subcontractor on it as well, so I don't know if it's the number of employees he has or his abilities.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? It's a pleasure.
Madam Mayor,
Councilor Howell.
I'd like to award the request for proposal on 2019-08 to the Electric Horseman.
That was it.
Second.
Okay.
Councilor Romero?
Yes.
Councilor Yulbury Jr.?
Yes.
Councilor Casey?
Yes.
Councilor Howell?
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Howell, a second by Councilor Yulbury Jr. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
The next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval to award request for proposal 2019-09 to Hayes Plumbing and Heating Incorporated. Ms. Gilbert.
Mayor, councilors, this came up at the same time as the electrician. We did need some plumbing assistance up at the water treatment plant, and again, with the emergency procurement, we needed to have somebody under an RFP or under a contract so that we could obtain their services as needed. This was actually critical when we started having multiple water leaks, so we needed to have a contractor come out in the middle of the night and make some repairs. And Hayes was the one that responded quickest. We usually use two. We've used two in the past. Hayes and New Image is the other plumbing. And I don't know why New Image did not respond. They do some of our projects. Many times they do our bigger projects. They did the skating pond, all the piping for the raw water conveyance near the skating pond, and we had to make some modifications there. But we did, this was the same advertised, same panel. Hayes Plumbing was the only respondent. And before I make a recommendation, I do want to make a disclosure. My son is an employee at Hayes Plumbing. He started a few years ago as a laborer with the company. Hayes has been working for the city for many years. They've done an excellent job. They've done much work at the water treatment plant and as well as at the wastewater treatment plant. And the board did evaluate them, and they are an excellent company. And I'm going to follow the board's recommendation and request approval to award to Hayes.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? Councilor Howell.
No, I don't. I was going to make a motion.
Oh, okay. Any questions? Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve to award request for proposal 2019-09 to Hayes Plumbing and Heating Incorporated.
That was it.
Second.
Okay.
Councilor Romero?
Yes.
Councilor Howell?
Yes.
Councilor Casey?
Yes.
Councilor Yulbury Jr.?
Yes.
I have a motion by Councilor Howell and a second by Councilor Casey. Councilor Yulbury Jr. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Gilberry.
Thank you, Mayor.
Great job, and thank you for disclosing. That's very important.
If I might have a second, Councilor Casey, my husband's last name, Gilberry, my last name as well. every time he sees it in the newspaper, he wishes I had a different name. So maybe the Optic could start posting Maria Pillsbury instead of Maria Gilberry, and my husband would be ecstatic.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, the next item, the executive session.
Any motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we convene into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters as permitted by Section 10-15-1H2 of the Municipal Open Meetings Act, NMSA 1978, and for the purpose of discussing matters subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation in which the City of Las Vegas is or may become a participant as permitted by Section 10-15-1H7 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, NMSA 1978.
And this personnel matter will be tied into the Community Development Director position, correct? Discussion?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Counselor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey and a second by Counselor Howell. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Ms. Judy?
After having met in executive session to discuss personnel matters as permitted by Section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, NMSA 1978, and to discuss matters subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation in which the City of Las Vegas is or may become a participant as permitted by Section 10-15-1H7 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, NMSA 1978. No action was taken and no votes were taken.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Second.
Counselor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey and a second by Counselor Howell. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you very much. I need, what is the pleasure of the board? And item number 7, is that correct? Anne Marie, you should
Yes,
take
ma'am.
over.
Approval, disapproval to appoint Virginia Marujo as the Community Development Director.
What is the pleasure of the board? Counselor Casey.
Madam Mayor, I move disapproval to appoint Virginia Marujo as Community Development Director.
Is there a second? Roll call.
Counselor Ulibarri Jr.,
No.
Counselor Howell,
Yes.
Counselor Casey,
Yes.
Counselor Romero.
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Casey and a second by Counselor Howell. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
The next item is the councilors' reports. Madam Mayor.
Counselor Romero.
It's my first report to the rec department. I want to thank you for all that you've done. It's gone a few months without any concerns, and you have a lot of happy individuals, so thank you for doing all that you've done and maintained. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Counselor Casey.
He still has the floor.
I'll leave it at that.
Counselor Romero, I know you had asked
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Ms. Vega to prepare a list for you for the
A list of the all the nonprofits that
Nonprofits,
have been
yes.
funded in the past 2 years.
Yes, sir. And she did have it, and I think she left.
If you just
But
email it, just.
There was 3. We funded Main Street, we funded the IBA, and then we funded Samaritan House
In the 2 years?
in the last 2 years, yes, sir.
Okay, and then just one of them, and the reason why I bring this up
Yes,
is
sir.
because there was concern that, we didn't fund EDC, and then we did fund EDC 5,000, and I heard 40,000, so I just wanted to see if we did, what it was, the actual number, instead of the hearsay.
Let me answer that. So statutorily, we have to fund Main Street, I believe, at 35,000. Legislatively, we have to fund IBA at 10,000. Okay, but that's questionable because that pretty much it's coming to a close on that one. Essentially, we don't have to fund anybody else. But what we've done since this administration came in 2016 is we have held every nonprofit accountable. They have to bring in a clear set of deliverables that they are going to present to us and that they are going to accomplish. One of the things that I've seen in my tenure sitting on the council and now as the mayor is that you had a lot of the nonprofits pretty much duplicating efforts. And it was essentially like Main Street conducting the job. So I had a problem with that. I've always did. And I always raised the question to the previous mayor. So we streamlined that, I believe, and we've moved forward with that. We've done very well with the nonprofit dollars. We're using them to tie into marketing, and we're also tying in to working closely with Lodgers Tax on that as well. So I think we've been very fair in representing. And then now we have, I believe, very competent members, and not that they were incompetent in the past, but I think really key players that serve on Lodgers Tax that have a bigger vision as to where we're headed. And I really appreciate those appointments.
I just wanted, so
And I'll get that-
I have the actual number, so I could, I could say, no, that's wrong, it was this, so.
And I'll look up EDC, but I don't believe that it was funded in the last 2 years.
And one of the reasons is probably because they didn't come back to us with a clear set of deliverables, correct?
I believe so.
That was usually, okay, thank you. Councilor Casey.
Thank you. I wanted to thank Sonia too, because I've seen, people haven't contacted me, but I've seen lots of posts on Facebook about the wonderful job that staff is doing there. They feel welcome, everything's well taken care of, they get a lot of assistance, and I want to thank you for the good job that you're doing there. I think it's great. The other issue is I did get a call from Mr., I can't remember his first name, Spencer, from the tree board.
Oh, yes.
And he really would like us to focus when we're putting the budget together, if we can put in $10,000 for the purchase of trees. $10,000 will buy 1,000 trees that they will be able to plant and replace some of the really old trees that are basically falling apart here in town. And so if we could consider that, that would be wonderful.
We did meet with Mr. Spencer of Public Facilities, Parks, myself. We did meet with him about 2 or 3 weeks ago, We have some information from him, and we're going to be looking at that and then bringing it back to mayor and council to see. There has to be some removal of trees. We did remove the one at the Gainas River, am I correct? Last week, and that was a dead tree that had to be removed, and we did remove it. We're going to continue as as we go along and as it gets a little bit warmer, we're going to continue to work on those trees. And I think you're right. He did. He actually brought a budget. He thought it would be wonderful to put 30 to 50,000 aside, but we'll work with him. We're working with him.
Great. And he did call me today and asked if I had received an invitation to meeting with, I don't know who, about the tree issue, and if
We'll
you
get
could
that
please send us that information so that
Absolutely.
those of us who can attend can be there.
I'll be glad to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Howell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Gallegos,
Yes, sir.
I understand we had an employee retire from the janitor position who was being the janitor at the police department. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a replacement for that person?
Not just yet. We're still going through advertising, but we are replacing the janitor with in-house employees.
Okay,
Yes.
because how is that, are the other departments that you're pulling from, is that going to backlog their duties in their department?
I don't think so. I mean, we send
For
out a
example-
crew, we send 2 to 3 people out to to police department. They get it done within within an hour and a half, and then they're back. So
Okay.
we've been able to manage that so that the police department doesn't have to find someone. But we do have it advertised. It is being advertised
Okay.
as we speak. And
Good,
so,
yeah.
yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilor Olivari.
I just want to thank all the directors, especially Maria. Thank you for getting that storage tank at Luna. They've been talking about that for the past 2 months. Finally got it done. And all the employees, thank you guys.
Okay, back to Aida. Councilor Olivari.
I just had the same thing as Councilor Howell as far as that janitor at the PD. Is during the time of the snow, I guess that was sort of a concern, is that the streets employees were there at the PD cleaning instead of, is that what was happening, or no? Or we made sure that it wasn't a priority?
We did our snow removal, and then I scheduled 2 different guys every afternoon to go in and take care of the janitorial work for the PD now. So it hasn't bothered us at all now. They're all taking turns, frustrating.
Is it pulling from just one department?
No, 3 different departments. Streets, public facilities, and parks.
Okay, well, we will be filling that position. That's the key thing. Thank you, Anne-Marie. That is within your administrative authority. Also, with regards to the tree board, I have historically spoken to them about applying for the Noxious Weed Act grant. They have not done it. You can get up to 25, potentially $30,000, $40,000. That is specifically designed for tree removals. So it would be nice if somebody would take the bull by the horn and apply for that grant.
And as a matter of fact, Robert Archuleta and I and Virginia had talked about applying for the grant. And so we are
Is that the
looking
Noxious
into it.
Weed Act grant?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me.
We're moving forward. Hopefully we can meet the requirements and move forward.
Okay, thank you. Since there's no further discussion, I need a motion to adjourn.
Madam Mayor, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Counselor Casey?
Yes.
Counselor Yulbury Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Howell?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
A motion by Counselor Casey and a second by Counselor Howell. Madam Mayor, motion carries.
Thank you very much.